Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Light, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Host, welcome back to Baseball Hut, and hope you like this video, hit that subscribe button. Obviously, the Mets have not played for a couple of days. I'm going to do a video here on the Mets possibly trading players. This video is being recorded before any of the games in London. Pip, pip, cheerio. What they do in London doesn't mean anything, quite frankly. Represent MLB, same thing with the Phillies. But MLB general managers are very interested in what the Mets are going to do because they're going to probably have the most tradable assets. They have a lot of players that don't have big contracts, have one-year contracts that have 1 year, but an option year that have player options. So we're going to get into it right now. It's from the Bleacher Report. MLB trade rumors. GMs eye Mets plans ahead of deadline. Most tradable players. The Mets are 27-35 and look nothing like contenders, which means other teams are going to start circling ahead of the July 30th trade deadline like buzzards. And that circling is reportedly already starting. John Heyman of the New York Post reported Thursday that general managers around the league are said to be especially interested in what the Mets do, since they may have more tradable players than anyone else. Heyman pointed to Pete Alonso, Luis Severino, Joe Manaea, J.D. Martinez, Harrison Bader, Jake Diekman, Adam Ottavino, Reed Garrett, Sean Reed-Foley, Starlin Marte, and Jose Quintana as potential trade candidates. Well, that's a lot of players. That's going to be very, very active. According to Sports Rack, Mets had the highest total payroll in Major League Baseball for the second straight season. All that has gotten them is nothing in the National League East, and a disappointing start to the 2024 campaign. It may be time for the front office to start focusing on shedding payroll and turning its attention toward the future. If things don't quickly turn around ahead of the deadline. Alonso's the biggest name on that list, and the trade makes sense considering he's on the final year of his deal and could sign elsewhere without trade pieces in return next offseason. Heyman noted last month that the Cubs are the obvious potential suitor for the Sluggers, although reported rival listed the Astros, the Mariners, and Blue Jays as potential and possible landing spots. Having multiple teams in something of a bidding war ahead of the deadline would be an ideal situation for the Mets as they could maximize their return and what is shaping up to be a lost season. It sucks. Sucks that the Mets are bad. It's not good for my channel, quite frankly. It's not good for me here on YouTube. Bleacher Report's Joe Reuter listed the Cubs farm system as the best in the league last month, so there are enough talented pieces that New York might get back in a trade who could help accelerate the rebuild. The Mets are also expecting to be good next year. They're going to be in on the big players. They're going to be in on Juan Soto, Corbin Burns, a lot of pitching. Alonso would likely get the Mets the most in return, but trading multiple players from that list would be the best move. Almost nobody on the Major League roster should be considered untouchable given the team's overall struggles, which would shift the focus away from the recent all-in efforts. And there likely needs to be a shift given the team's coinciding struggles on the field. Now, here's the thing. The Mets did not spend a lot of money this offseason. A lot of the money the Mets have had on the books are for players that aren't here anymore. In particular, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. They had contracts. The Mets ate those contracts. Mets are always also on the hook for James McCann, who they signed to a 4-year deal prior to the 21 season, 21-22. So he's got this final season, and they're paying for it because they traded him to Baltimore prior to the 21-23 season. So this team has a lot of dead money and a lot of dead weight on it. Jeff McNeil's been terrible, and he's got a big contract. Francisco Lindor is underwhelming, even though he's had a really hot streak of late. Brandon Nimmo, who played really well last year in the first year of the contract that he had, has sort of had a weird season. He's gotten on base, and he's got a higher RBI total, but he's not. His at-bats, the quality of bats are not nearly as good as they were the last few years. Jose Quintana was hurt half the season last year. He's not pitched well at all this year. So the Mets have a lot of dead weight on this roster. And then obviously they got rid of Omar Narvaez, and he had a 2-year deal, and that deal was a disaster. Got nothing out of him. and now he's been released. So you have a lot of dead money on this roster. So once this season is over, all this money will be off the payroll, and they'll start spending money again on an enormous basis. The number one target would be Juan Soto, Corbin Burns, and whoever pitchers are out there. But this is the kind of things we're going to be talking about. I wish the Mets were good because, like I said, when the Mets are good, it's great for this channel because we can talk about big players coming in here. But that's the one thing about being a bad team right now is you're talking about getting rid of players. That does not help the channel. So that's why I have an extra incentive for this Met team to be good, not just due to the fact I'm a big Met fan, but also the fact that I need to be good to help this channel out. This channel is doing pretty good with help from the other two channels, but this is a chore to find positives here to talk about. But let me know what you think about this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.